This video isn't just about discs. You could have guessed that already, but the discs are important too. This video is about discs, and also humanity's greatest weakness: sentimentality for finite creations. This started as an offhand thought I had while looking at an already shot disc I own. I thought, how long will my favorite disc last? And I glanced at the drawer I keep my burner discs in and corrected, for as long as it's my favorite. You could argue piracy all you want, but the definite fact of the matter is, your favorite movie, CD, or season disc set to a show you've seen a million times isn't going to last forever. It might not be in production anymore. Let's look at some statistics on the half-life of your favorite discs. Not all discs are made the same, and in my research, controlled temperature and limited light exposure is what keeps your discs lasting for decades. But not many people, even with archival experience, have that kind of money to throw around. The more you use your discs, the more they'll degrade over time. It's the price you pay for use. Just like shoes, or makeup, like shirts, and the containers you use for food. Use kills everything. The everyman won't really think about how his hot car will affect the condition of his CDs. Much like how your mother never really gave much thought to keep her cassettes and family videotapes in a plastic bin instead of a cardboard box. Just about everyone thinks their favorite things will last a long time, and depending on how things are stored and handled, those things may be. I have a Sony computer that runs on Windows XP, hardly used, and still in great condition, even though it was left outside. The thick material of the bag it was kept in made the computer safe from the elements, and if not for that, it would have ended up worse than the VHS tapes that were in the same spot in a cardboard box. Your discs are meant to be used, and if you're like me, you'll use anything until the moment it doesn't work anymore. Use is for everyone who can't afford to have backups and display pieces. Use is use. But what makes something worth keeping, even past the prime? What is permanence, even at the price of repair and excess? Does it really matter? Objectively. Depending on who you ask, we're all like discs in a way, made as different as possible. It's important to preserve the things that make you happy. It's important to keep up the maintenance of your favorite things. Because if not, what's the point? Call it overextended optimism, but even if it's old or maybe you've shelved it, it was still important to you at one point. When you inevitably part with something like a disc, or maybe a toy, it was still loved. No matter the circumstance, people love to keep their loves. Discs are, to some, considered obsolete. Now with streaming services, it's easier than ever to watch anything that might catch your eye. But now you have a time limit to watch whatever it might be, because sometimes, without warning, that show or movie might be gone. Some will say that discs aren't practical, but in the digital age, things can be scrubbed from the face of the web and no one would even notice, most likely. Old films that were produced by students can be easily deleted, just as a big blockbuster can from your preferred service. The point is to have the option, the ability to have that piece or pieces of media for as long as you personally see fit, not dictated by whether or not the ratings are any good, or if it's not trendy enough. The care you put into a medium can change someone's life. And isn't that the mark of an artist? A creation that might have taken hours, days, a year or so, can mean so much to someone and you wouldn't even know it. People, if given the chance, love to love and keep what they find important, even at the cost of some quality or scrutiny from strangers on the internet because you want to keep old commercials for the love of it. Behind every movie, music track, every show, there was someone, one day, sitting or standing somewhere, and the thought of the thing you're engaging with now came to mind, much like the script here that I'm reading off of. The drive to keep things going while they're good cannot be understated, and that's entirely subjective. I really like cult classics, old comics, and cassettes of those Star Trek narrations by the cast. I use Polaroid film for some of my pictures. I collect stuff that runs on film, high 8s and millimeter film. I even have a 1940s second edition book on my shelf. Will those things eventually have their fill and tear, break, or wear off? Yes. And I will be incredibly sad. But at least they gave me happiness when I had them. Does the author of the 40s book know that it's sitting on a shelf in some young guy's room next to his 90s manga? No. But I think there's a laugh to be had, maybe. That's all this concept is. The point I'm trying to get across. That no matter where, in what time, someone, somewhere wanted to keep something, even if it was considered obsolete. I have vintage buttons. A 1960s student nurse dress from Ohio that I got off of eBay, and it still has the lady's name on it, which I think is wonderful. If you're to take anything from this small ramble, it should be this. If you love it enough, and can still get something from it, keep it. No matter if it's a fine china collection, or a really neat secretarial handbook, or even party hats you thought were cool. If it gets you by in these seemingly hopeless times, it's your obligation to yourself to keep it. People are defined by what they love, what they don't, and there's a reflection on what you keep, and what it says about how you view the world and the importance of living, not just dragging yourself by. Keep your discs clean and loved, and they'll love you back.